Hey guys, I'm just here for a few minutes with you today. Sunday's my day for resting and fasting. Really helps me that way. I kind of get reset for the week ahead, but I wanted to share with you an interesting question that came up in the club meeting last night, and that was people being discouraged because they couldn't trust government and the media anymore, you know, because of all the corruption and everything. And my response was, what do you mean you can't trust them? You have to trust government and media. They're absolutely reliable or very close to it. Yes, it's true, both have become almost totally under the control of the global rulers and the cartels that are trying to destroy life on the planet. But if you want to be picky about stuff like that, but still, even so, you can trust them almost 100%. And there's some exceptions. They're not totally controlled by these cartels that are running the planet, but because it's not 100% now, there's a big internal struggle going on. But in general, they can still be trusted. And what do I mean by that? Well, since our program is centered around health and everything else connected to it, let's take health for an example. And in general, government agencies will not tell you something is really bad for you unless it is vital for your health. So if you know how to translate, and just in most cases it's a simple reversal of what's being told to you, you can usually get good guidance from it. So they say something's really bad for you, so saturated fat, cholesterol, things like that, you can figure that it's probably vital for your health. It took me quite a few years to confirm that, but I found out it was absolutely true. And I wanted to get those things in a live food, organic, whole food form, which I finally figured out how to do. But that was great guidance, and one of the things that allowed me to check on that was I realized, wait a minute, government agencies are almost 100% reliable, so there must be something to this. And I investigated it, and I found out they're right, that cholesterol and saturated fat were actually very important for your health. Your brain is mostly made out of cholesterol, the solid part anyway. And the nerve sheaths and arteries and stuff, and all of your the sex hormones are, and I don't mean just for having sex, I mean your sexual characteristics that show what gender you are, of the two possible genders. And I know that's not supposed to be known, but I'm just taking a chance of quickly saying that those hormones, those critical hormones for keeping you clearly in the gender that is natural to you, are all based on saturated fat and cholesterol. And if you don't have enough of that, there are problems that come up, as you can imagine. And conversely, government also will not tell you something is really necessary and good for you unless it's probably a threat to your life. And if there's so many examples of that, one of them is injecting poison into your body. They say is really important, and it's a good way to become immune to diseases, right? I mean, people actually believe that by the billions now, I guess, or at least hundreds of millions, and they want everybody to believe it. So if they're telling you that that's a critical way to stay healthy, thank them for the guidance. It's probably, you know, endangers your life, and it's really true. And that, I studied the history of that bizarre practice back to the late 1700s, and it's been maiming and killing people since the beginning. It's not just recent. It's not just the adjuvants and the things put into it. It's the whole concept. It's completely absurd. And I'll just tell you really quick, I want to get out of here right now, but the fallacy of the injecting poison to become immune to disease, you know, that whole thing, they say it's based on the fact that antibodies appear in the blood. What they forgot to mention, and it's probably just they didn't have time to tell you, is that there's no correlation between antibody production or presence and real-life immunity to disease. They do not go together. But, you know, I'm sure they just forgot to mention that to you. Anyway, in most cases, you can reverse what is being said, and you get good guidance. But important safety tip here, don't just memorize that and do it all the time. Be sure to check because there are exceptions. Don't just apply it blindly. Even these corrupt agencies and media may tell the truth occasionally for their own nefarious reasons, or by mistake. They could tell the truth by mistake. So don't just, go by that as a rule. Check it out in each case. And if you want a truly reliable way to judge for yourself, and you're thinking, well, what could that possibly be? Well, look to authority and trust what they're showing you it is. And so what do they say? Well, science and academia say that common sense and what you feel, what your intuition about something is, are completely unreliable, and they're unscientific, and they're subjective, and they're anecdotal, and what you feel is just totally worthless. And as I've mentioned before, I was told in a class in supposedly higher education in a PhD program, if you want to be a real scientist, which of course everyone should want to be, then get rid of two things: opinion and emotion. And once you have none of those, then you're on your way to becoming a legitimate scientist. And of course what that means, if you translate it, is since you'll have no idea of the context of these specialized facts that you're learning, supposedly facts, you'll be a perfect tool for the system to get into a great job with a lot of pay and benefits and help destroy the world. Because that's where most of the good jobs seem to be right now. So anyway, if science and academia are telling you that common sense and your feeling and your intuition are untrustable and worthless and unreliable, just translate that, right? Because we just went through a lesson on how to do that. And you say, wow, I need to develop common sense, intuition, and start becoming really deeply aware of how I feel about something and what's coming in from my direct perception, which is a faculty that everybody used to have and is being forgotten and lost touch with now. So if you want to take advantage of that guidance, we'll develop those things to the maximum. And the way that you do that and you get them back is by developing this thing that you're not supposed to think about called consciousness. According to modern fake science, consciousness is created by a bunch of chemicals in your body that just randomly happen to come together in the right way and make you think things which are just chemical reactions. But in reality, if you want to get real for just a second, consciousness is not caused by chemicals. Chemicals, as weird as this may sound, chemicals, genetics, everything else is caused by consciousness. And that's a deep subject. We can't do it in the remaining few seconds of this video, but it's worth thinking about, because what consciousness refers to, not that the word can ever cover it, but it's who you actually are. And it was always there for you, waiting until you got tired running around on wild goose chases with nonsense that was taught to you. So it's waiting for you anytime you want. Learn how to wake it up. It's the real guidance, and you've definitely got it. Learn how to do that, okay? You'll like it. I'll see you next time.